Well, the one up here would be perfect for you guys.
Yeah, but I'm looking really tiny.
If she would go down a price, this house, I wish I'd bought it years ago. The house right here is built in 1920, up on the hill right by me. It's for sale. And it's beautiful inside. She kind of over, so, you know, she does much money.
Right.
Yeah. Just need a flash. Did you guys see Merlin's post today?
No.
Go on Merlin's page, or I'll put it on mine. He hasn't posted on like that, but it post. He actually says something nice about me. Yeah.
How old do they have to be before they start saying
Yes.
things?
That's a good
Mom
question.
just told me to quit staring at him. He's 15.
Oh,
I was getting ready to say
It's
I love
different
you.
this side.
yeah.
I know.
I didn't say that God.
But you know what? I think back to things I did to my mother.
I didn't do anything to
Yeah.
you should beat me.
I know, you would have got knocked across the room.
Oh, yeah. I had real long hair. She would twirl it in her fingers.
Yeah, your mother was rather.
She always told me if I got arrested, she
Joan,
would
her mother was like Joan. Her mother was Joan Crawford.
I had to
My father
be a
was
sweet, nice
intense, but
person.
I dealt with him. I
Okay.
kind of dealt with him.
That message about Sue.
Yeah, his funding.
Funding came through. Yeah. It's a nice message because he thanked his mom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this in the hallway.
And Stu one from the side, and that's fine. Yeah, that made me feel better. I was like, good.
It's fuzzy.
It's the energy. There's a lot of energy
Yeah.
in this room.
Okay.
The last time we had the 3 cameras, she worked on the color for, I don't know how many hours she told me, but she finally realized it wasn't the color. It was the light balance. It was the energy in the room. Yeah. So that happens frequently. First of all, welcome everyone. And this is going to be a really special oracle. The way I've always thought about when I do gatherings of any kind, it's not the amount of people, it's the quality of people, it's who's supposed to be here. And there were several people that were supposed to be here, down to 2 people we just talked to that just woke up from naps. So there's a lot of people here in spirit. But the way I always look at it, it's really neat people, it's good people. And we're starting a new era of things here within my own self and within the center and all kinds of things. So this is a very converging day for a lot of things that I'll talk about later, but I want you all to start to think a lot about 1992. And the reason I'm going to start with this 1992 date is for one very particular reason. I'm sure you've all been hearing about the comets and the rain, all these bits and pieces of the watch the skies in the next few nights, right? You're seeing all these things. It's actually the leftover remnants of something that actually happened in 1992. So it's a very good lesson of how present time is, right? Here we are in 2015, but we're having these meteor showers, and it's in the Farmer's Almanac. I put it on Facebook. It's really interesting. It's right at the bottom. It goes, this is actually the remnants of what happened in 1992. So those are the kind of nuances that I notice and I like to teach people about, because my whole thing is about going back to point of origin. Where did something start? How did it start? Where did it begin? How does it come into present time? So when I saw that little tidbit, because I always like people put all the things about, watch the skies and it means this, and there's all these explosions on the earth. I look for a bigger picture. So when I saw this tiny little line at the end of the Farmer's Almanac thing, that this is actually from this 1992 meteor, I thought, I know what this means. All of us need to think back what was going on in your life in 1992, good, bad, and different. Think about how many years ago, 23 years ago, right? Whatever. It's hard to believe 23 years ago, 33 years ago, whatever. As I started at the center. It's a very interesting thing, but you'll find a lot of things that probably happened to you in 1992. I had huge occurrences. I got divorced in 1992. I had major comet things happen in 1992. And if you think back, you'll see it. But the way to look at it because we're healing that illusion that there's a separation, that there's linear time. We're waking up out of that illusion that we ever fell from the garden. We are waking up from the illusion that that something is another side, or something is our subconscious mind, or something is our higher self, or we're awake, or we're asleep, or we're dead, or alive. Those are all man-made perceptions that we've come to when we fell into the duality to make a reality. And so we're being healed of those illusions of that separating time. Because in the original Garden of Eden, any way you want to think about the concept of that is allegorical, real, whatever, it was eternal spring. It wasn't seasonal in the sense of death. Nothing died to live, let's say. There was only life, this life-giving energy, right? So in the way we're living right at this moment, the things in your life that are not working, the things that are not right, the patterns that you've been stuck in, we've all been stuck in for lifetimes after lifetime after lifetime, they're all now, but they're here to be in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, to be done. And all you have to do is be present. So when this meteor shower that's going on over these next few days, and it's been going on, it's kind of like bringing in all the stuff from 1992. So I'd start with 1992. That's what I want to think about, the difference between who you are now, who you were then, the things that have happened, and bring that right into this moment. Because it's been going on for a few days, it'll be going on for another few days, and see it as a way of embracing heaven and earth, because it's right, these things falling from the sky, nothing to be afraid of, and really thinking of it as a closure and a rebirth of old eras of your life, old parts of who you are. Because a lot of the grief that people have been going through, and I know you've all been feeling grief, anger, cycles of elation, cycles of depths of despair, all the archetypical things we as humans experience, but they're happening faster. It's not drug out. It can be just like in a moment, you can feel almost all of it. And then you go, whoa, what was that ride? And then you go, wait a minute, I don't think I want to be on the bad ride. I want to get off the one that was about the guilt, shame, fear, the one that put me down into the depths of hell. And you don't have to be. But I can tell you, to heal, to truly heal, you have to do your spiritual work. You have to. And that's one of the hardest things. It's been a big, and I'm not going to blame the New Age movement because it's been around since the beginning of time. How do we as individuals, as individuated souls, take responsibility without shaming ourselves, guilting ourselves, not loving ourselves unconditionally, but how do we look at what we as the lords of our creation have co-created, and how do we use our free will, and what have we manifested? And it's tricky business. The only reason it's really tricky business is we got trapped into the left brain, right brain illusion. We got trapped into the reptilian brain stem that wants to fight or run away, fight or run away. And we forgot that there's a place of being, that when you're in this place of this peaceful dharmic place, you're watching from a bigger picture. You're watching, and you it's like you get it. It's like being up in an airplane. It's the difference between being up on a mountaintop or up in an aerial view and viewing the big picture of your chessboard, or being sitting down here going, okay, which move should I make now? What should I do? And it's a perspective. And the thing to know is that you never left this high place. So it's not something that you have to attain or achieve. The illusion is that you have to somehow, you're not worthy. You know, all that, even in the 12-step programs are so negative, you know, I'm an alcoholic. And I'm, you know, every time they say that, how are they going to get healed, right? Or different churches, not just the Catholic Church. I'm a sinner. I am not worthy. This is all man-made things to keep people trapped in the wait a minute, am I worthy, am I not worthy? Am I divine or am I a sinner? how do I cope with that? And it's a really interesting mechanism of when you can instill fear, shame, and guilt in people, you can control them. So control, people that are fear-based want to control, and this is the trickier part, or want to be controlled. And I'm sure you've all looked back in your lives, and we've all done this, where you thought somebody was this wonderful person, you get into a relationship, and all of a sudden you think, my God, why are they so controlling? Well, they didn't all of a sudden become controlling. When you first got in it, you wanted to be controlled. And it's a tough place for people to accept responsibility for. Because on some level, it was okay for a while. And I think that's what happens when we first meet people. There's this higher spark of connection of the divine. There's that electrical magnetic connection that will bring out a higher frequency. And the big deal is if you have not healed from within, you can't maintain that frequency. You'll always fall down to the codependent, dysfunctional pieces, always. So the trick is, of course, healing from within, but it's a very interesting point about control. Because so many people, we've all experienced this, oh, this person was so controlling. Well, okay, what part of you wanted or needed or didn't even realize it to be controlled? And it's actually a big responsibility for people that are doing the controlling. If you think about it, it's a lot of work. It's kind of like herding cats after a while. It's kind of like people are very controlling about certain things. It's like, especially now, because we're in now. And so people really want to kind of stay in that real controlling place. It's a lot of damn work. It's exhausting. What's the opposite of the control is when you surrender. And when I'm talking about surrender, I'm not talking blind faith. I'm talking a knowing faith, which is, again, different than people that just have this blind faith. If somebody tells them to jump off a roof, they'll jump off the roof. Or, the cults we hear about where people are told mindless. They're told program, do this, do that. I'm not talking about that. The deeper you go into your own inner temple, and the more you take responsibility for you as a co-creator and you, the right use of your will, and you look honestly at the pictures that are here now, and you don't dwell on the parts that are dark, that are difficult to look at, but you embrace them, they neutralize. And the more you feel them and you polarize with them, they get energy and they get stronger. They get stronger and stronger. And I'm going to tell you, because I know this is a human experience that we're all having. During the last, especially 3 or 4 years, I think, and I've done a lot of therapy on myself with people, done a lot of inner work, did a lot of rebirthing, different things, different kind of things through the years. I'm telling you, there were times I had to pull my car over to the side of the road. I would have these aha moments where I remembered every mistake I ever made in my life. And I'm not talking like from the normal depression kind of thing, but like really kind of working on stuff and just being present and reaching a summit and going, holy crap, I did that. Oh, I was the one that caused that. I'm the one that set that in motion. And we're kind of taught from the time we're little children, because little children are pretty honest about things, but children are kind of taught not to be honest because it embarrasses adults. And little children are pretty forthright sometimes about if they did do something, but parents they want to control it, they want to punish, or they want to. So pretty soon you kind of go, well, maybe it's just a white lie. I don't want to be punished, right? I don't want to be shamed. I don't want to be whatever it is that pushes people into not telling the truth. And it's not even about telling the truth to other people, it's about telling the truth to yourself. And that's one of the hardest ones. Because we develop, it's not really schizophrenia, but we fragment. So anytime we are not who we are in our really child self, and we start to turn our power over to something else, and we're present, but there's something happening that's so, for whatever reason, awful or not acceptable or scares us. There can be many reasons of why these things happen. we don't really fragment. They talk about this in psychology and talk about it in different modalities of healing, how this is fragmentation, right? It's not that you really are damaged for the rest of your life and you're fragmented, but in a sense, there's a fragmentation. It's kind of how people survive molestation, abuse, people that had horrible things happen to them in war, whatever. They disassociate. It's another word for it. But there's many levels of it. You don't have to have some kind of horrible torture thing happening to you, or rape, or different things we think of when we think of abuse and molestation of children or ourselves. It starts in subtle ways. It starts in very subtle ways of how it's almost in a way stranger, because you start to erode away from your core being. And it starts at a very early age through different types of, when you go to school, when you go to, religious beliefs, family dynamics, all these different things. And in some ways, people that have very traumatic things where they have these horrific things and they disassociate and they fragment, many times it's easier for them at the end of the day to heal. It's almost harder for people if you were brought up in a normal, and what the hell's normal, right? The more I get to know, trust me, after 44 years of hearing people's stuff, every day I think I've heard it all. No, there's at least once or twice a week I hear news stories, and it's kind of amazing. So what's normal? So it starts in a very subtle way in utero. We know things that even things your mother and your father were saying, or things you were feeling, or things you were picking up on, or other lifetime. I mean, all and all. It's like I would say, I remember my birth and where I was before I came to what we call conscious recall. So there's so many levels of what shaped who we are now. And some of the hardest ones, there's I'm going into this, some of the hardest ones are the very subtle ones. It's easy to identify like huge places in our life where something was just awful or, life altering in a bad or good way. I think one of the most difficult things is that slow day by day erosion of you, of your true self. And that's why different scriptures talk about, except you become a child, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven. Children, really till they're about 7, are very aware of other dimensions, other whatever. They don't care about, people don't believe that they have what adults call imaginary friends. They're in their own world of creating and doing and being till they get further trapped down into this level. Children and babies pick up on the thought forms of adults. So I have a lot of people who come in, they go, I don't think I really was treated badly as a child, but why am I afraid of certain things? Or why do I get really creepy feelings from this uncle or this person? Or why, I don't think my dad or mom did anything, but I really have. Well, I can tell you why. Because when you are a baby and when you are a little being, there's not a lot of boundaries. So you're picking up on people's thought forms. You're picking up on things that may have happened to your parents. You're picking up on genetic memory. You're picking up on lower DNA. And you don't have motor skills to do much about it. You're trapped, right? It's a paradox, right? As a baby, it's a paradoxical thing because babies are everywhere. I'm working with a little baby right now that was born in June, that was born premature and is still in hospital, so I go and see her. She's not there. I mean, she's there. She's really cool. She comes and visits me. She's all over the place. She's very free, right? But in some ways, she's not free because she doesn't have motor skills. She doesn't have speech skills. She doesn't have other things. But it's a paradox of life. And so it's almost like it's this reverse counterintuitive thing that as we develop, we can roll over, we can walk, we can talk, along with that comes other things. we start to get reactions from other people, right? We start to get molded into, there's more freedom in some ways, but that's when some of the control comes. So it's kind of subtle. It's like when babies are just in their baby state, they're just doing what they're doing. Unless they have horrible things happening, but it's, you know what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting paradox. So I want you to start to, every moment of the day, don't ever think about yourself as just anything. Don't think about, I am a woman, I am a man, I am married, I'm single, I'm a baby, I'm an adult, I'm a certain age, I'm a parent, I'm a child. This is the true path of freedom and liberation, is when you know you are everything. You are all of that. That's really the true meaning of Tantra. In the Western mind, people want to think of Tantra as sexual positions or sexuality. The word Tantra, all it means is union. So when you are in union within you, when you are whole from within, you are your own mother, father, brother, sister, lover, savior. Whatever archetype that you're looking for, you think you need out there, you have that capability within you. And it's a hard lesson because we're trained, especially in the Western world, to think everything is out there, right? Our answer is out there. It's this person, it's this thing, if I have this job, if I have this degree, or if this person calls me, or if this, it could be the most bizarre, simple, complex thing. We're so taught that everything is out there. Out there is a mirror. Out there, whatever out there is, right? It's a mirror reflecting back to us who we are, things about ourselves, not only though as an individual, as a group energy. And follow me on this, because this is where it gets a little tricky too. We are these beautiful, unique beings of light. We were created by the Divine Mother, Divine Father. We were created out of this amazing, expanding universe. We do not live in a dying universe. There's new solar systems, there's new stars, there's new amazing things created every day. We don't live in a dying, don't ever buy in when you hear about the earth is poisoned and oh my gosh, and everything's going to be gone in 100 years and blah, blah, blah. It's not true, okay? Those things have happened. Yes, there's potentials that have happened for mass destruction. Mass destruction's happened, but there's enough people who are present, there are enough people on this earth right now remembering who they are and manifesting the union from within, that those things aren't going to happen. But what we're dealing with in the complexity of everything right now, who am I as this individuated soul, and who are we as a collective consciousness? And that's what you're seeing played out in all the ugly things of politics, of male-female, of we're seeing the last of that, trying to understand the observer and the observed, the who you are, as opposed to what other fragmented archetypes out there are talking about. And you'll see it everywhere. You're going to see all these extreme archetypes, right, of energy. Always know within you, that's the great mystery and secret of all the saints and masters. We are the embodiment. You can become totally and actualize the embodiment of any archetype. That's why Jesus, Yeshua, Buddha, they all said, you can do all that I've done and more. I did not come to found a religion. I came to show a way. I came away here to actualize. Some of the greatest saints and masters that ever walked this earth you'll never hear of, because they just lived their lives in their path of actualizing unconditional love, of being. The people you hear about many times is a collection of the soul group. So when you see the things we're seeing in this earth right now, you're going to become stronger and stronger, and you will not feel as pulled as you might have been in the past to over-identifying with extreme things. The more you and know that within you, you are the embodiment. You're made in the image of the divine, and you're made with all the gifts. If we're made in the image of Creator, then we have all those attributes. If your body is a microcosm of a macrocosm, and we'll go into this sometime, with the endocrine system, which is what the chakras are, and chakra is just a fancy word for wheel of light. And there's many, many thousands of chakras, energy spinning things. Your body, your physical body temple, literally there's different colors, sounds, planets that line up with each of the major organs, with each of the major endocrine system. You literally are a microcosm of the universe and of our solar system. And the more you know this, you'll start to feel something. You'll start to get it. You'll start to understand that it's not, and that's where astrology is really interesting. Because people always want to think of like, well, Mars is doing this or something's doing. You have the movement of the planets in your body. You have the colors in your body. You have the sounds in your being.
To tell you, that is so wild because I've been, this is gross, I'm sorry, losing toenails and regrowing them, which totally freaked me
I
out.
have that on my right foot.
My doctor said it's called pattern interruption from healing the Lyme's disease. Sort of
Pattern interruption.
Pattern interruption when your body
Is that
stops
interesting?
reproducing in a sick state and starts reproducing in
In
a
a healthy
state. And she's like, you're also losing your hair. You just haven't noticed it yet, but it's regrown.
It's a snake shedding its skin.
Yeah. So it's crazy that you say that
Wow.
because I'm actually physically experiencing that in my body.
Yeah, you right. And this is another way to think of everything. There's no mystical tree of life out there. Your body is a tree of life. And it's the most magnificent thing. We are walking trees. The bottoms of our feet go deep into the earth. The wheels of life, the chakras that are on the bottoms of our feet. And that's why when we went barefoot, we didn't get sick. If you go into the countries where people are barefoot, they don't have man-made materials blocking them from the earth energy. They don't have cancers. They don't have dis-ease. They have some other things because of other things, but when you have that direct connection with the earth, that energy goes up through your body just without effort. There's ways to consciously do that all the time, even though in our society it'd be dangerous sometimes to walk around with shoes because it's kind of, you have to wear shoes sometimes. But yeah, it's a very real thing. Oh, thanks for sharing that. I love that because it's just kind of like when because I always hate that when people come and they want to cut your pushes down, right? And then think, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, there they are, this beautiful things. And it's a really good point because we're so kind of taught to think, oh God, this is beautiful or this is good. And we get frozen in time. Right? You get frozen in time of hanging on to something because not realizing that the more you just push through whatever it is, it all regenerates. It all regenerates, absolutely. And when you think literally of I want you to start to think about this. The reason that Buddha is contemplating his navel is because if our body is a microcosm of the whole universe, what's the middle? Right here, the umbilical, right, belly button. So it's another thing that's a really neat thing to do every day. I think of myself as like a little mini me sitting in my belly button or like feeling safe enough to be in the seat of power. And what happens in the Western world with women? People are so taught to be ashamed of their stomachs. Even people that have the flattest, people are so. There's massage therapists, and I never understood. This is changing. They don't touch your stomach. Well, they go, well, and they'll say, "Well, people don't want me to," and I go, "So weird, right?" Because anything really needs massage sometimes. It's getting the lymphatic system going, right? Getting all this stuff moving. You don't want this stagnant energy here. And I started, even as a little kid, I remember looking at people, I would just see them more as energy fields than as people. But what I would always notice, and I always called it this to myself, like a central sun. This is a central, the third chakra is like your central sun. So if you think about it, it's a neat thing. You're this walking universe, you're this walking tree of life, and radiating in this amazing center part of your body is this amazing sun, this amazing, brilliant. I always think about mine, so like the color of flames that have the orange and the purple and the yellow and the different colors in them, right? Not just like you see on chakra charts where they show you this is this color and this is this color. And when I start to feel tired or start to feel something that I don't want to be feeling, I think I gather up things and let the sun burn it up. Just incinerate it. And that's really what it's there for, right? And if you think about the first three energy centers or chakras are called the furnace. And again, in the Western mind, we always want to go ahead. We always want to go, we don't want to deal with the lower, which aren't really lower in a way of lower. I feel all the time, I want to open my third eye. I go, are you sure? Are you really sure about that? Do you have a foundation under? People are very fascinated. I want to open the crown chakra. Well, I want to go to the stars. And let's go totally into like, the star beings and the stars and the stars. You want to be down in the body. You want to be. It took me years to learn to be in my body. I was never. I know now. It took me years to get it. I was always in, but I was out. You want to be in. You want your huge being of light that you are, but you want to be grounded in your body. Otherwise, it's not good. Either direction, it's not good. You'll see people who have or think they are not at all spirit, who are totally in their bodies, right? That kind of stuff. But it's all this. It's all about the balance. So the first three energy centers literally are called the furnace, because if they're not going and lit up, how are they going to activate in a right way the higher ones? This is what you see a lot of times with people it's a lot of people who are very intuitive, they're very psychic, but you look at them physically, they're very obese, they're unhealthy. They got all this stuff opened up, but they die young. A lot of healers too. People say they're healers. They don't have the integration. And I'm going to tell you, in the times we're in, you want to be a spiritual being in a physical body and have all that working together. You want to have the survival chakras working. And survival not in the way where it's fear-based, but where if something comes along that you need to do something about it, you will. Where you're not a victim. You're in that center. So before we even do the meditation, I want to kind of explain it. I want you to think, first of all, that you're this huge being of light that you are. You're so big that when you stand on the earth, you literally, I want you to kind of visualize the earth as just being kind of small, like Mary when she's standing on the earth here. Right? That's a really good visual, because she's standing on the earth. But she's so big, she usually has her stars there too. She's also up in the stars. That she's literally standing on the earth, trampling the negative serpent, not there's good and bad serpent energy. But it's a really good example. She's showing us, you are the world. You have this within yourself, right? And when you visualize that you're I had this really cool vision one time, and it was like I saw this group of people, and we were so big that we were joining hands, but there weren't that many people, but we were so big. But we were standing on the earth, and we could just hold hands and hold the earth, and we were so tall that we had a star, each of us had a star in our hands. We were connected with the star. And there's a reality to that. We are of the heavens and we are of the earth. That's the great paradox. And one is not better than the other. And we are star-seated. We know this from the science. The earth is star-seated. I mean, this is how things grew here and manifested here. So the more you can understand that you are, this is real, you are huge. Your energy body goes out hundreds, who knows, into this infinity. But that you have a body temple, and you have different vehicles. Now, people talk about the soul, the spirit, the astral body. There's different vehicles in a way, subtle vehicles of things. It's like it's always an interesting thing. Very first encountered Tibetan Buddhism when I was in my late teens, early 20s, in different, very profound ways, and it always fascinated me how they would know. Because early on, I was fascinated with death and rebirth, being Scorpio. When the monks would die, they didn't have a set thing for when they would do the cremation. And I would say, well, that's interesting. How do you know? And they said, oh, we know. We can. We watch. We look at the bodies, and they can tell when the vehicles, when the subtle bodies are leaving. They know. They know. We've been taught to think, this is this, this is this. Everything has an energy field, even inanimate objects, right? So it's the same thing with our being. We are pixelated. There's all kinds of energies that we are. So they know by looking when it's time. What's also fascinated me is they talk about, because they don't embalm, of course, and so you think, okay, well, that's kind of, can that person get kind of ripe after? Maybe you can tell by the smell. It might be time to bring. And when I was younger, I would ask these questions. They just laugh, and they go, no, because again, most of the incarnate lamas are very purified because that's what they're doing all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm alive, I'm dead, I'm putrid, right? So they are burning up their stuff, right? They're cleansing in different ways. It's always fascinated me too. When '92 actually was when a group of Tibetan monks came here and stayed here a lot. How a lot of them, not just the younger ones, would have all these intense muscles, but I never saw them exercising. Wow, that's really fascinating. This guy could these muscles. Are they sneaking out in the middle of the night and doing some push-ups or something? And no, it's how they meditate. It's how they tune in. It's how there's a lot of mysterious things that happen when you are in your embodiment, you are in your being, your outward shifts. We're taught to go have this done or do that, or exercise, to do crazy stuff. No, if you've got your mojo going, you got all your energy fields moving, and you are very consciously aware that you are whole and that everything is within you, not in an egotistical way, but in a way of wholeness, magical things happen. Death and destruction happen is when we don't think we are whole, when we think there's other things out there that we have to either control or whatever. So it was always I'm telling you, this is the truth. You look at some pictures you'll be shocked when you see, because it's amazing. And it's not mind over matter, it's more just a way of being and doing. When and again, when we think of others as a role, right? When we think of people around us as a role, and then we immediately will go into a role. Then we start to have negative and positive expectations of others, of what they're supposed to be in the role, or what we're supposed to be. And then what happens? We get trapped into the illusion of separation again. We get trapped into fear. We get trapped into shame. We get trapped into guilt. We get trapped into hellacious things that we don't want to be trapped in. So in the stage that we're in now as humans, we just came out of the age of Pisces. The Piscean age was the collective unconscious. It's the fish swimming in opposite directions. It is about duality. It's about the collective primordial energy. Pisces embodies all 12 signs of the zodiac. And always remember, when we talk about 12, anytime there's 12 of anything, there's really 24, because it's 12 male, 12 female. And that's where the 24 hours of the day come in. So in this shifting into this Aquarian age, it's as Jung called it, the individuated self emerging from the collective unconscious. So since we're in all the stages of these things, that's why there's still this mass awareness about group energy and all the archetypes. And it's also why that you as an individual are becoming more and more bold and brave and feeling safe to be who you are. I always kid about this, but it's true. The one really interesting product of the Aquarian age are selfies. Right? Seriously. It's like, hey, you take a picture of myself. I don't need somebody else to come take a picture of me. I can take a picture of me. And it sounds stupid, but it is. It's fun to think about these things because it's very real when you think about it, right? Or YouTube or any of these things we do, right? You have a chance. You don't have to wait for somebody to call you to do something. You can do your own stuff, right? There's different sides of the Aquarian age that are like that, about 15 minutes of fame, or people, emerging in whoever they are, whatever they want to manifest in a very quick way. And so there's so many interesting things to think about, but I want you to know that it's so important to know that within you, me, all of us, there's only one body. There's only one big body of spirit. And we're all cells in that body. And the worst of us and the best of us. That's why a lot of times when you see things in the outer world that's so disgusting, or the people are so or things that are going on, it's so overwhelming. It's so the group energy can go, we don't want to be that anymore. We don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to be that person who thinks it's okay to go kill things. How wrong was his perception? The dentist. Oh, how wrong was his perception of the ego? They could think that was something cool to put out into the universe. Boy, did he find out how cool it wasn't. And that's what I'm talking about. You're going to see it a lot with lots of things that people used to think, hey, this is awesome. And if it's not, it shows you how the collective consciousness is changing, right? So the collective consciousness is growing, going, yeah, I don't think we want to, that's not cool. We don't like that. This is not a good thing. You're going to see it in a lot of arenas, not just something like that. You'll see lots of things that you maybe used to think were okay, that in your own world it's not going to be okay. Or how you treat yourself, or how the more you see that there's no separation, it won't be this idea of, and this is a great concept, paying it forward or buying people coffee. To me, we should be doing that every minute, not in a way that's hurting ourselves, but we should always want to be actualizing who we are, and actualizing unconditional love. It can't be a concept anymore. It can't be something that we read about and think, well, this is a good idea. It's something that we have to live, right? And it takes baby steps at first because we're not taught that. We're very much, especially in the Western world, we're brought up on conditional love. From the time we're born. Goo goo gaga. You know, there you are, and you're going to get these freaking people out of my face. And you don't have any control over it. Yeah. So at an early time, you're captured and you learn to comply with certain things. I mean, it starts very early, these things. The more you know that you are a powerful, beautiful being of light that is on this earth at this time, it's not about you being somebody else, learning some technique or doing some weird this or that. You, unless it's your path, you know so much stuff. You really know things. You're not born empty. They used to think babies were born, everything had to be programmed into babies or whatever. We know stuff. When we came in, our body is encoded in every cell of our body is knowledge and wisdom and far more of why we don't use, what they say we don't use like 9/10 of our brain, that the other 90% of our brain isn't about what people think. It's about our God part. It's about our huge divinity being. It's our huge consciousness that we, through different reasons, have kept ourselves away from. But we have amazing powers. We have amazing abilities. And the simplest, most wonderful way to activate those is to be who you are, where you are, right this moment, and do your inner work. Nobody else can do it for you. We can all help each other. We can reflect things to each other. We can, but I'm going to tell you at the end of the day, and that's what we're all going through in that dead of night. That's why people aren't sleeping. That's why they're restless. That's why so many things are happening. You might find yourself just crying and just, there's only you facing you. And that's that dark night of the soul. That's that, you look at any literature, any religious, spiritual literature, everybody goes through death, hell, and the grave. It's an archetype of being, but you don't stay there. And you don't need to go through death on the grave every day. You want to go down into those places because there's obviously, if there's some things there you need, but then you bring the light in there and you don't ever have to go again. But how do we keep getting plunged back in? It's kind of like, let's say you step on a bunch of thistles or thorns, more than one, and you think, okay, I'm just going to pull this main one out. If you don't get all of them out, or all those little sticky, tacky things in there out, what happens? They eventually work themselves. They still hurt. They bother you, and they'll eventually come back out, and your skin turns red, and you're bothered. So it's the same thing with mental, spiritual, physical, emotional things. So anything you're hiding or anything within yourself that you think, well, okay, good, I've worked on that, and you go, but some part of you knows that maybe you really didn't work on it. Guess what? That's those things that the least time you're going to expect, you might all of a sudden feel a panic attack, right? You feel like, oh, what is that? So I advise all of us, plunge yourself into points of activation, plunge yourself into, put no energy into avoiding. And when you feel the uncomfortable things, know that it's going to only come back if you don't figure out why it's uncomfortable. It doesn't work any other way. Because again, the more whole you are and the more you have healed things, certain things that used to maybe make you feel bad or uncomfortable, there's no chinks in the armor. There's no road in, right? And it's all processing. I mean, it's very tricky stuff, but it's very simple stuff. Does anybody have a question? Before we go into some other, I'm going to go into another part of something.
How do you lose the fear of finances?
Oh, that's a bad one. That's mine. Huge one. Huge. What an interesting way to put it. Fear. What's your fear? Oh, that's a really good one. Okay.
Fear of not having.
Fear of not having.
Security.
Okay. So usually the thing we fear is what then we manifest and don't have, right? Because thoughts are things, mind is the builder. It's so tricky. It's also tricky.
How do you work through it?
Well, see, mine's the opposite of most people's. I never thought about finance. I never thought about it. I just from the time I was a little kid, I manifested stuff. I was a hippie. I kind of didn't have things against money, I think, when I was younger. And I just never worried. I would just always manifest stuff. You get to be 66 and you go, what the hell? Okay, I don't have any savings. I didn't do this. And I did the opposite. I never had a fear of not having. I just never got how do you do this or how do you, my mind was just always just whatever. and it comes in different forms how we do these things to ourselves, right? And it's all really the same thing. When you go back to point of origin of the fear of lack of secure, whatever, what does it feel like to you? Or how far back do you think of it being?
Like I'm not going to be taken care of. I think it goes back to probably early days.
Like childhood, being brought your family.
Yeah.
Who?
Core stuff.
Right. Sure. And a lot of that's genetic memory. We have the lower DNA, there's patterns in families. Both sides of my mother and my father's families are fascinating. They're unbelievable. My grandmother, my mother's mother, was born to an extremely wealthy family. They come from Holland a long time ago, down into Michigan, down into, South Haven and Holland, Michigan, places, gone into Iowa. Her father was a very well-known doctor who owned thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of land. And there's just huge stories they came over from Holland, the original part of that family. They had jewelry that got stolen. So you read these family histories and you go, this is really creepy. This is like, there's a lot of stuff repeating here. And she went to Hope College in Holland, Michigan. And she met my grandfather, who was a poor immigrant Dutch man, who was 12 years old and fell in love. She got this inheritance. She got cut out of the will. Yeah. And when my mother was growing up, the grandfather owned thousands of acres of, my great-grandfather was a doctor, his son-in-law was a farmer. He charged them more to rent houses and land than he did other people. It's really creepy stuff. So there's a whole pattern of weirdness there, like things that went up. Same thing, my dad's side of the family. There's some really strange stuff there. My father's family, when they came over from the Isaac, and it's spelled just like Chris Isaac with the K, originally from Wales, George Washington gave, Samuel Isaac gave him 1,100 acres of land. And there's all kinds of stories of these vast and things that happened through the years of things, the same thing as having lots of stuff and then not having lots of stuff. So genetic things are very real, and stories in families are real of what happens or how things happen and how they repeat. So one of the things that you want to think of, this was interesting, your whole aura changed when you started talking about not being taken care of. When you said that phrase, your whole energy field went berserk. It went. So I think it goes back, it's not really even about money or finances. I think it feels about, and it's everybody's really story at the end of the day, is about feeling safe. you don't feel safe. So there's a concept that somebody else needs to take care of me. I'm not being taken care of. What? I'm not being able to take care of yourself. Where do you think that started for you?
Maybe my mom, she probably had that feeling and
That your
passed
father,
it on.
that something,
Yeah, her mom left her when she was 7.
oh,
Her 2 sisters with her dad who drank a lot.
oh yeah, that'll do it right there.
Mm-hmm.
That'll give you the feeling unsafe, of not feeling safe.
She
And,
had abandonment issues.
right, well, you would. That's a key age that from the time a child's born to like 7 or 8, they bond with mother and father. At 7, 8, they bond with a parent of the same sex. So to have a mother abandon, especially a female, and leave with an alcoholic father, oh yeah, she would probably have stayed 7 or 8, you know. Yeah. Right, there would be a whole concept. Did your parents divorce?
No,
They stayed
actually
together?
Stayed together.
That's
Dad
good.
kind of took care of her. Mom never wrote a check, and I never realized this till Dad was in the hospital with pneumonia.
He controlled the finance, right?
Mhm.
Right, because she was a little girl.
And I've been divorced about 8 years, so I can take care of myself, but I don't feel as, it's check to check, and I'm like, what is that about?
It's about your child. It's about past life stuff. It's about childhood stuff. It's about you learned how to cope rather than it's that being instead of doing that we all do. We all yeah. So it's about really. It's good to be able to share it. Number one, it really is. It's good to be able to share it and talk about it. When you move out of the fear of not being taken, and know that you really do know you can take care of yourself, but you need to know that even better than that, you can live in a different way that's not just about check to check, that there's a bigger way of being. And that's what we're all at, whatever our thing is. It comes in so many forms for people about what our fears are, about what our last block with certain things are. It comes in many different ways of not feeling safe. You're ready to totally, as a matter of fact, earlier when I came in and I gave you a hug, I got really interesting energy with you. I felt a lot of ideas around you. You're very intelligent and you're very creative. One of the things you want to start to do is to every day just go, why am I here? What's my highest good? How can I break out of this idea that I wake up every day and go from point A to point B to point C to take care of myself? How do I get this bigger picture of manifestation?
Thank you.
Yeah, because I feel that. I feel like with you, really, I do. I mean, I feel like there's just like something right here that you're ready to bring into manifested form. Yeah. Yeah, it's all really, we live in such a fascinating time of change. And I can tell you, the more you really know that this is true, anytime you're present with all of yourself, that's when what people observe to be or think are miracles. Yes, it's miraculous, but it's really how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to always be in a place of this cool stuff happening, this manifestation. So, yeah, it's really exciting, but along with it, we're all going through, again, healing the things that we were programmed in, healing the illusions, feeling safe. It's all about feeling safe. When you feel safe, most of what gets any of us into trouble is when we don't feel safe. When you don't feel safe, the creative energy you might have becomes destructive. When you don't feel safe, you feel hopeless, you feel trapped, you feel frozen. So it's all about how do any of us as individuals, how do you find safety? How do you feel that safety? And again, the more you are self-sufficient from within, the more you have when you are your own mother, your own father, your own brother, your own sister, your own savior, love, all these archetypes, the more you know you have this capability from within and you actualize that, you become very powerful. You don't need something. And a lot of people go into this in the Western model as well. Like they close their hearts and get hard-hearted and think, oh, I don't need anybody. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about true power comes when you surrender and you keep your heart open and you feel that unconditional love for yourself and for others, but in a way that's that wholeness. It's not hardening your heart, not closing down. It's that then you start to radiate out and you start to attract back in. Because when we close down, things can't come in. So that's that karma. When we learn through the wheel of karma, it's like being on a merry-go-round. It's kind of fun for a minute. And the horses are moving up and down, and there's music, and it's kind of interesting. And all of a sudden you go, the scenery is really boring. I don't know about you guys, but I got a lot of scenery that's been boring for a few years now. Where I'm going, I thought I got off this ride. Why am I still seeing some of the same stuff? And it really is like that. Learning through the repetition is a way, but it's not how we're supposed to learn now.
So many epiphanies as you're talking today, but I want to ask a little bit about Alexa's insight. I think I'm getting some connection on where it's coming from, just from the house representing my consciousness, patterns recreated.
Is she 7 now?
She just turned 7.
Right,
She
okay.
just passed her birthday. So we came back from vacation, and the house had been empty for a couple days, except for King Triton. Honey wasn't there. It's a dog and a cat. And the first night we stayed in, she hasn't been sleeping very well, as many people haven't. So the first night she said she couldn't sleep because there was a man in the closet who wanted to kill her.
Whoa, that's severe stuff. A man in the closet that wanted to kill her.
And then when
Wow.
a couple nights later we got her to sleep in her own room, and she came in and she was talking about the man in the closet, and I said, well, you weren't even in our room, you were in your room. She was like, well, yeah, there's the crazy lady in the red dress in there. Just like, like, well, of course there is.
Yeah, all right, don't you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's very interesting.
So what is she picking up? I mean, there's leaving the house empty and coming back to it, I felt it too.
Oh yeah, no, because your house, you're on a vortex. What happens with hauntings or with things that happen in a home, it's not just a building. It's like what's happened on the earth before it was built. And things that have happened there. And there's ley lines in the earth, and there's energy centers, and there's different things. So you're living in, I'm sure, what was once farm fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and probably sacred burial. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff up there. It's very interesting energy up there where you are. And I think what she's picking up on, because she's so intuitive and she's so empathic, she has this awareness. I think sometimes what happens too with children, they're remembering what we might call past life, or it will come through in a personification. So in other words, in what she's fearing or what she's sensing may not be exactly like what it evokes in you. But at some level, there's some negative male energy that she perceives that's hidden in the closet that wants to kill her. And I think a lot of that comes from her birth file, from the adoption of her birth file. It's very real.
Yeah.
What did she say about the lady in the red dress? She was crazy. Did she describe her?
Well, a few weeks ago she was asking me about Charlotte, and that was a really good conversation. So she, on her own, realized that Charlotte had died, the previous owner of the house.
Yeah,
Who she never
they had a
met.
really interesting story that you walked into at that house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the crazy part is Charlotte's energy.
I do too. But
She had Alzheimer's.
and the adult, it was like a second marriage, and they were older people, and
Yeah.
the children did a horrible thing. They ripped forced the divorce, ripped the mother that had the Alzheimer's away from the husband. And they were afraid, I guess, of money. Who knows what they were afraid of, right?
Yeah.
Horrible, because he pined. He was like heartbroken because he didn't have Alzheimer's. And I hear this a lot. There's a lot of bad things that people do.
Yeah.
And so that's what they moved into.
Which really, of course, makes total sense.
It does make total sense.
You could pick that house.
Right? It's like they've been happily married. I don't know how long they were in their second marriage, but then all of a sudden she gets, and all of a sudden here come grown children who go, "Oh, sorry, but you're not gonna." It's crazy, but it happens a lot. I hear about it. There's a lot of interesting stuff. So she's so sensitive. She's picking up on that, but in a way, it matches pictures for her in some ways, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you this, the Spirit Story Box app? One of the things that it had said was daughter discovers cowboy graves.
No, they usually don't say that many words. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it was a sequence. It was daughter
Yeah, but
that
that's what it said.
discovers
Wow.
cowboy graves.
Because again, where you are up there, it's feasible. I mean, there's things, and she's very sensitive to how far. I can't remember how far up are you?
161st.
First and
Oak Ridge.
which is near Fox Hollow. That you're talking about. I watched it once. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff up there. I mean, it is. It's just like all that stuff. She's very sensitive, but there's ways what you want to do with that. What I would do is to go with her and open the closet and sit in the closet. Let's go to the point of origin. Let's go. I'm with you. Daddy can come too. Kitty could come. Anybody. Let's go sit in that closet. I don't know why, but I've just always known this. Anything I was ever really afraid of, I made myself do when I was really little. And there's a power in it. When it doesn't have a power over you anymore, it is not powerful. So I think that's what I would maybe do with that. You see, I don't like closed. I'm very closed to it. When I was looking, I never shut doors. I still have the bad habit. I will leave like cabinet doors kind of open, and it's really crazy. But it's like I think something's going to get trapped, or I'm going to be trapped. It's this thing of a way out, right? Or of a. We all do things, and they're very interesting. We'll start to look at why we do them. But that's what I would do. I would go into that space with her immediately. So that's what they did in the ancient temples. People were afraid of snakes. They put you up to snakes. They weren't trying to be mean, but they were initiations. They were a way of saying you don't want to have things have power over you. And that's why the ancient rites and rituals have deteriorated into what you see like in fraternity initiations and into the Masonic lodges and different things. They would make you think you're dead. That's part of the whole in the secret rites of the Masonic lodge. You put you in a coffin. You read about it now. They would do all this, and what?
Remember the movie Billy Jack?
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. Yeah, exactly. And there's a very narrow, in the true Masonic lodges, they have a very narrow room that people go through blindfolded. It's like the birth canal. They drop you down. The floor drops out beneath you. They do all kinds of stuff. It's really interesting. And then they put you in a coffin. I mean, there's a lot of the Odd Fellows, the Red Man's Lodge. A lot of these, they did these, and it was like it in the truer form before it turned into like drunken people being mean to people or doing weird things. It was like fate. If you have no more fear of death, it has no power over you. Of death, whereas I sing, of grave, whereas I victory. I get people in here all the time who have overcome cancers, or overcome horrendous things where they're supposed to have died, and once they don't, and once they go, you know what? Hey, what else? They come alive. So it's like that, right? But that's, a lot of those, that's where those rituals came from. So that's another thing, is notice what does make me afraid. Where do I turn my power, and why do I? I'm always saying, go back to the point of origin. Where did something start, right? I'm going to guarantee you, everything that you're going to feel activated about in these days it is a minor tip of the iceberg of something that's so ancient and so old. That's why you don't want to get trapped in fighting or distraction or running away. You want to know, why do I feel this way? And there's nothing wrong with, don't let other people, if you're feeling something and you need to work through it, you got to keep working through it. Because a lot of people don't want, they'll be very, they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to, you just do your own inner work and you work through it, and you'll gain a mastery over it. You'll definitely gain a mastery over it.
Something I wanted to tell you that's super cool real quick, because you know how I'm drawn to the science side. I always start intuitively, just make up things and then look to see if they're true.
Yeah.
So one thing that I found that's really cool is there is a study of either mice or rats now that has made a proven link that memories are passed down genetically.
Yes.
What they found was that the mother rats, they put a fear of acetaminophen for some reason in them.
That's
And
interesting.
the children, a fear of the smell of it.
Wow.
And so the children who were born were afraid of the smell, even though they had no reason other
Wow.
than genetics to be.
That's great. It's like if you've ever had cats, when mommy cats have babies, they talk to them, and it's a language that you'll never hear. They don't have it after, it's when they're and they talk to their babies. And cats that, you see all the pictures where there's cats that don't hunt, birds are all over them. And cats that hunt are taught by their mothers, but they're not taught by going out and hunting. It's passed down through genetic memory, but it's also passed down through these chirping sounds, how they teach them things. It's absolutely 100% fascinating because it's real. It's like the 100th monkey thing in a way, right? It's a very real, thoughts are things, mind is the builder, and there's so many levels of things that happen. So, no, I like hearing about things like that because it's very, science will always, there's not much that's really paranormal. People think things are, it's like we don't hear sounds that dogs hear, but they hear them. Is that paranormal? I mean, we don't smell things that some of them smell. So again, we live in a vast universe of infinite possibilities and things that really are real. And it's about you manifesting and pushing through the lower DNA and knowing that you have your original divine blueprint, which is so powerful and much more powerful than the lower DNA. And that's what, when scriptures talk about sins of the fathers that go through 7 generations, they're talking about weaknesses of the body, mind, and spirit, and genetics. And I get people in here all the time. Well, my dad died when he was 50, so I'm probably going to die. And you go, what? Or people that do these extreme things now with like, oh, I've got the cancer gene, I better get my boobs cut off. It's just awful. Creepy. People, and then I've actually had people in here, and they go, but I got a new pair of boobs. You go, what is wrong with you? What? Was there any cancer? No, but they tested me and I had that gene. I know, it's like insane. So when somebody like Angelina does that, then people go, wow, okay, that's really cool. I think I'll just go do that. What? Yeah, so it's that same thing. Okay, if you know you have the gene, then let's work on eradicating that gene, or going in your higher genetic makeup, where that gene won't have any rule in your life. It won't dominate anything in your body. I had this beautiful woman in here the other day. It was the most incredible. I cried. It was so interesting. And she goes, "Don't you remember me?" And she didn't have her hair. She goes, "The last time I saw you was 3 years ago at Serpent Mound, and you just had this horrible accident. And we were staying in this next it was this whole weird thing. And I had just gotten off of the computer with something from way back at Point of Origin for me about Serpent Mound. It was really strange. And she was sharing her story about her cancer, and she looked right at me, and I will tell you, it just was so profound. She said, "I had cancer for 1 day, I knew exactly what she meant. When she was diagnosed, she had cancer, and then she chose what she was going to deal, how she was going to deal with it. And they had told her horrible things. She was going to, you could live for 2 years to get cancer. She had cancer one day. The day she found out, she got rid of it. And that's how real it is. It's how real when you get it that these things don't have power or dominion over you. And the way things have power and dominion over you are through fear, and the darkness is about the fear. And it just was, I just
panic attacks, but he's saying he's agnostic. How can I help him?
Who is having them?
My son is having panic.
How old is he?
18.
And he says he's agnostic. What does that mean to him?
He doesn't buy into God
As a person?
Jesus. Yeah, and he grew up going to Presbyterian, but in the last 3 years.
Well, agnostic's different than atheist, too. It's different permissions.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's really doesn't believe. I think his panic attacks are coming from the fact that he doesn't believe in religion, but he knows there's something, and so he's like, what the hell is it? What is out there? When you will work with him remotely, you can pray for him. You always want permission. You always want to say pray for his highest good, pray for his divine blueprint, pray for his free will to choose for the light to be revealed to him in the way that it will be shown to him, because it's shown to everybody in different ways. And the fact that it's really interesting, because a lot of times people that are really think they're true agnostics or atheists are not at all, don't have panic attacks. They're very arrogant. They're very, you know what I'm saying? They're very, so 15 is such an interesting age.
It is.
And whatever age our children are activates in us what was going on when we were that age. So you want to think a lot about what was going on in your own life when you were 15. So it's going to give you a chance to reparent yourself and redo some things. And the more you know your faith and have the knowing faith and the wholeness comes, he'll come where he's not separate from you. He's your flesh and blood. The mantle is on him. See, there's good lower DNA that's like that. That we have the promise of the mantle, and we have our, it doesn't have to be our blood children, we have our people, our family. They're not separate. And so he wouldn't even be verbalizing if he wasn't searching. I get a lot of kids in here. I love to work with younger people because I love the fact that they can even feel safe to say that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He talks a lot. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy exploring. But what you want to say to him, a way to project or to be present with is to say, you know what, I don't think God's a person, or I don't think that, just talk with him and be present, and you'll know what to say. And the way most people profoundly really experience the divine is in very personal way. It's in their own frequency. It's in the way that it's revealed. And that's my sense, is that there will be a lot of really huge things happen for him very soon. And they're probably happening as we're speaking. There's just neat stuff going on for him. Yeah, and I don't like, I can't stand most of religion. I mean, and religion's man-made. I mean, it's not, I cringe at there's certain things about what people think is God or spiritual or the dogmatic aspect has nothing to do, of course, with anything. And that's probably what he doesn't like.
Yeah, I bet you're right. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or anything?
It's kind of strange. I don't know how to explain it. I almost am too optimistic. Is there such thing?
Yes, it's called being euphanoid. it's a word that Keith and I made up years ago, back in the 80s when we did a lot of spiritual teaching together. It's the opposite of paranoid. It's called euphanoid.
Okay,
It's a
so
made up word.
what do
'Cause
I
there
do about
is-
it? Because I just don't believe anything bad's ever going to happen, and I think everything's gonna be okay, and I never believe in,
Right.
I mean, like you said
Right.
that, and I'm
No,
sitting here
that's
going,
great. That's
no, it's gonna be fine. You just have to wait a while,
Right.
and it has to work through it.
Right. But see what happens, because I've been like that too, totally, trust me.
So there's something wrong with that too.
There's nothing wrong with it. But then when you
People really knock me down with it my whole life.
Oh, I
I'm so
understand. Sure.
optimistic.
Oh, gotcha.
And they wanna tell you how it's really
supposed to be.
it's really
right.
shit.
You're supposed to
It's
see if
really,
it's
I'm supposed to
negative.
see the negative side.
I think when you get out of that thing of what's negative and what's positive, so there's a way that we can be just as where optimism or the euphanoid can get in the way of a reality of something that's not healed, right? That's like when you encounter some things like you've been encountering, right? That's real stuff. It doesn't mean that you have to succumb to those situations. But when we stay in the state like everything's okay, nothing's wrong, we live in a world where we're healing that illusion of separation and duality. So what will happen after a while, if we keep staying more if we stay into a denial that there's something that isn't right, and there really is something that isn't right, it gets suppressed and then it has to come out somewhere, right? It will come out in another form. So it's really about going, you know what, things just are. What I've been trying to do is let go of judgment of what might be good or what might be bad, right? We're thinking, it's very good to stay obviously in that positive energy, but you also want to be realistic about things going on around you, or that everybody doesn't feel or think that way. That's all. And when you see things or feel things or you're experiencing things that are harsh or negative, push through into it and think, okay, where is this coming from and why is this there? You don't want to stay there. But it can be, it's all about how we deal with all these things. But it can be, it's just like, I always bring this up, it's a real thing that was going on in the 70s and 80s, especially with the New Age movement. You know, people would think, oh, I can say something or I can have a negative thought, but if I go cancel, this is actually in books. And I actually would have people in here I'm going, no, that's not how it works. You can't say hateful things or be and they go, cancel. It doesn't work that way, you know, because thoughts are things, and mind is a builder, and what you send out is what you get. So I think the same thing can be, I think we can all choose to be, I've been there where you're at with the youth, where I've been but it was not realistic in the sense I was blocking something else I didn't want to see about something, right? And thinking that, not looking at how things might have been affecting another person, of what their reality is. And so I think sometimes that's what happens. If we think that, if we want to stay in the state where we think that everything is just a certain way and it's positive, obviously there's, somebody else has had it. I think sometimes when people, yes, there are people that can't stand that and they want to destroy you and they want to bring you down. But I also think that we have to sometimes be very aware when we are interacting with others and they're saying something else, we have to not get brought down into their negativity, but we need to hear what's being activated about why we're activating it, right? So sometimes I think,
I think I activate people
right,
because I'm so freaking positive. I mean, that just is so strange to me, and I just don't know how to
and I think it has to do,
figure out.
well, and again, what's positive, what's negative, what might be,
Yeah, that's my
you
perception.
might perceive that something's positive for yourself, but maybe it's not affecting somebody else in a positive way. Because I've definitely been there. where I thought very much so, oh, I was doing the right, or I was just doing this right statement, wasn't. So it's more of that, I think, it's more that going, going within with that and going, okay, what, and I think sometimes that's the lower mind is powerful, okay? So the lower mind many times can fool us and make us think, oh, everything's fine. We're good. It happens in very dysfunctional houses. What's happened, and this is an extreme example, but I'll give you an example. It's like you interviewed half the people that lived in cities near concentration camps. That didn't happen. They live you see these films now showing them these wonderful lives, there's eating, drinking, having fun. That doesn't go on over there. So I think there's not saying that you're like that, but there's a level of denial that we can get trapped in as well. I think with the extreme. Because sometimes everything isn't okay, right? Or it's not, and the body's the last stop. So things will end up manifesting in the body, manifesting, and they'll build up somewhere else. That's all, that kind of thing. But we'll talk more about that because I saw in your aura, I can see exactly what I just got a certain level of something I just saw. That's interesting. Anybody want to do a short meditation? We'll get a meditation. This will be easy because we've already been talking about the energy fields and chakras, and again, it's kind of the illusion that we're not meditating. And this is the thing about this. You can constantly be in a state of prayer and meditation, and how is that? Because prayer is when we send out, meditation is when we receive. So again, when you're in this higher frequency, there's not a separation of sending or receiving. It's like the old-fashioned songs, will the circle be unbroken? No, the circle's never broken. I am Alpha, I am Omega, I'm the beginning, I'm the end. There's not a separation. So as we are in this space, I want you just to, again, feel and know the oneness, know the wholeness, know that this is a safe place. And we've already been speaking about being walking trees, so you're all doing really well with like this. I want you to feel this magnetic energy of the earth. I want you to get the images out of your head of all the poisoned waters and the lack of water and the earth is dying. No, the earth is well, and she's going to shake the parasites off of her. Mother Earth is safe, she's beautiful, she's regenerating. She has the powers of regeneration. So I want you to know that it's safe to be on the earth at this time. It's safe to be a tree that's rooted deep into the earth. And I want you to feel all the fatigue and stuff we carry around with us, the fear, the negative energy. Just let it just drain down into the earth. Just feel it draining from your body. The worry, the fear, the fatigue, the confusion, let it go. Feel it going down into the earth, being neutralized immediately. But the beauty of being these deep-rooted trees that we are, we can also pull strength and nutrients and energy from the earth up through the body. So again, we're getting rid of that illusion that we're even separate from the heaven or the earth. Let's just feel the safety of being here, the safety of being present, the safety of being on the earth, part of the earth, pulling energy up into the body, regenerating yourself. And as you come up into the lower back, the perineum, the tailbone, this is the root chakra. It's the color black because it's the color of the earth. We have a giant taproot also in that perineum part of the body. It's also connected with the tailbone. And it's a really rooted energy that we are. It's safe to feel this rooted black earth of the earth energy. And I want you to feel and think of the color red moving up into the sexual reproductive system. This is the area of creative abilities. It's not just about sex, reproduction, and even if you have certain things that are in your physical realm missing, we have we have an etheric body that's intact, that has everything. So I want you just to pull life force, feel that etheric energy, that original divine blueprint energy that has healthy parts and has all of your parts. Feel them in your body and know that it's safe to be a creative, sexual being in a physical body on the earth at this time. And it's safe to recreate life force within your own universe, within your own body. We ask all pictures of death to be turned into pictures of life, all pictures of fear to be transmuted into pictures of unconditional love and truth. We ask anything trapped, any judgment of the color red, any judgment about sexuality, passion, energy, life force, anything, guilt, shame, fear, abuse, molestation, anything in accordance with each person's free will and highest good. We ask the original divine blueprint to come into full activation, clearing, healing, transmuting. And I want you to feel that red energy moving up right under the belly button. There's what's called the Buddhic flame or the Christ flame. We're going to ignite, enhance that central sun of the third chakra. So just like if you're going to turn a knob on the stove, and you're going to see a flame, and Sky is being attracted to the third chakra apparently. Yes, Sky, we hear you. Interesting timing. See this flame igniting this area. Just feel that primal, this is where the seat of your soul really is. You're going to feel safe to sit down in this power center. And I want you to feel in a positive way this burning energy of the sun. It's burning up the old karma. It's burning up the negative ego. It's burning up the old ways of being, thinking, doing. It's alive and well and creating new life force. This is your furnace and it's going. You may even feel heat and cold, and as this yin yang energy is moving, feel it move out. And feel all the ways that you're not separate from anything. How you're part of the whole universe, part of the whole solar system, part of the sun. Feel this life force. Lots of people have been having anxiety and feelings in the heart chakra. And when we tune into this heart area, I don't want you just to go to the physical heart. I want you to feel your chest, your lungs, your breast, this whole area. I want you to imagine the most beautiful pink color of unconditional love, the most beautiful colors of green, colors of healing energy. These are the colors of this energy center. And any pain, any rejection, abandonment, all the things we've all gone through, unrequited love, feeling abandoned, feeling betrayed, feeling dishonored, feeling unloved, unwanted. Let it go. I want you to feel how powerful it is to let go of pain, to let go of hurt, to let go of the wounds. How powerful it is to have the open heart of compassion, but you have to have it for yourself. You cannot love your neighbor any better than you love yourself. So I want you to feel that energy of forgiveness and acceptance and joy, and know that we have an inner soulmate, we have an inner beloved. And I want you to feel that union. It's safe to become your own soulmate. It's safe to have the marriage from within. It's safe to have that union with the inner yin yang, the inner male female. It's safe to be whole. It's safe to be open. Have your heart open. We ask for the gift of discernment. Any gifts of Holy Spirit that are yours, we ask them to come into activation in a way that brings healing, brings peace for yourself, for others. There's a beautiful sapphire blue energy moving up through the throat chakra. It's not just moving through the throat, it's moving through the ears, it's moving through the neck, flowing into that reptilian brainstem. And this beautiful sapphire blue energy is just healing and nurturing and giving you the strength to speak your truth. It's giving you strength to hear the truth and hear with the inner ear. It's safe to hear with the inner ear in a way that's balanced. It's safe to speak your truth. It's safe to know the truth from within. And the functioning of the pineal and pituitary gland are the third eye, the inner eye. It's safe to see with the inner eye. I want you to visualize the most beautiful purple color, like a reddish purple color. Except the eye becomes single, you cannot enter the kingdom. We're talking about going into this oneness instead of the left brain, right brain. Left eye, right eye, seeing the singular eye, the all-seeing eye. Again, all the gifts of spirit, of inner sight, prophecy, dreams, whatever gifts of spirit that are yours, we ask in a balanced way, in a right way, that they become integrated with your personality. It's safe to integrate the inner intuition into your unknowing way that helps guide you, you getting rid of that illusion that it's separate. And I want you to feel your crown area is probably, top of your ear is probably itching. Babies are born with a soft spot. That's our spiritual umbilical cord. And I want you to picture the most royal purple, the blue purple, just radiating out of your head, around your head. Crowns were always not just about royalty. They were made to conduct energy of the electrical energy of the Divine Father. They were made of metals and different stones that would connect with that electrical energy and feel that magnetic pull of the mother and create life. So I want you just to feel, just as we are understanding and knowing that the mother is not weak, she's not needing to be rescued, she's powerful. The Divine Father, this electrical energy, does not want to be seen as an angry God, as a punishing God, as a lightning throwing bolt God. I want you to feel the love and the compassion and the positive energy of the Divine Father. Feel that electrical energy and that magnetic energy joining into every cell of your body, creating new life. In accordance with each person's free will and highest good, and all of our loved ones and all sentient beings and all life forms and everything. Because many of you are concerned about people in your families. Many of you were very connected. We're not disconnected with any of them. And again, in accordance with people who are not present here in physical, in accordance with their free wills and highest good, we ask for divine intervention. We ask in a way that's right for them, activation of their divine blueprint. And for all of us, we want to go back on any level where we've gone off that divine blueprint. Go back to the point of origin where we have been trapped now in suffering, codependence, dysfunction, toxic, dogmatic things, whatever level of being, of things where There's a weakness of body, mind, and spirit, where there's ways that are keeping us trapped in lack or trapped in suffering. Just like you would weed your garden, we don't want to take the weed whacker. We want to go in and we want to pull these things out by the root so they don't grow again. So we all have this beautiful garden that's ours. And I want you just to, within your mind, just pull out. I want you to feel the presence of the oneness, the wholeness, the Holy Spirit energy that's here. It's loosening the hold of these things that are rooted, that need to be pulled out. It's safe to let go of the past. It's safe to let go of things that are not of the light. It's safe to let go. It's safe to surrender to the divine blueprint. And we ask the Archangel Michael to sever all negative cords that are binding. Safe to be free. Safe to be free from fear, guilt, shame. Safe to be the beautiful, radiant being of light that you are. We ask every cell of the body to fill with light, with life, with energy. Again, we ask all pictures of death to be turned into pictures of life, all pictures of fear to be transmuted into pictures of unconditional love and truth. When you feel and experience these things, it's like a download. It's an activation of what you already know. This is a state of being that you can be all the time, not just at certain moments. So as you return to the consciousness of this room, this integration, this healing, this sending and receiving, this prayer and meditation, this frequency, this higher vibrational frequency that you are really of, will integrate and become actualized in every moment, and will strengthen. We're grateful for the healing that's taking place. We're grateful for the lessons, but we also are grateful to be done with them and to come into the state of grace. There's no longer the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, learning through karmic wheel. I want you to imagine one more thing. You're off the merry-go-round, you're off of learning through repetition. And I want you to visualize that you are a dot. You are in your body temple, but you're stationary, and there's a beautiful circle around you. You don't need to ride that circle anymore. All you need to do is be in your body temple, be in your universe, be the Lord of your creation, and create love and joy and peace and happiness. And what happens is you become a magnet that starts to attract that matching picture to that wholeness. You no longer have to ride that wheel and repeat the ups and the downs. You are this radiant, beautiful being, and all that you need on any level, you will magnetically pull to yourself. It's safe to learn without suffering. It's safe. We can get attached to learning through duality and suffering. Just let all that go. It's safe to be whole. It's safe to become all the archetypes within inside of yourself to yourself. It's safe to know and feel and have that, actualize that union. And there's an amazing, intense healing energy that's just surging through the bodies, burning up the karmas, burning up the past, manifesting who you are into now. Will emerge feeling and being you, the real you integrated. Feeling your path, your authentic self, things you are ready to manifest and are manifesting in a way that's clear, peaceful, focused, alive, well, safe, abundance on all levels, joy. And when, as you are in this manifested form, we're like beacons of light that connect and shine brightly to help thousands and thousands of other people actualize. Wow. How's everybody feeling? That's really powerfully healing and good. Ooh. And this is an important thing to know and understand. When you have these experiences, they're real, they strengthen, and you can be in the state. Again, it's not just something that happens here. It's a reminder of your true state. It's a reminder of that wholeness. Because a lot of people, they'll go, well, I got to go home. I got to deal with this person or that person or this thing or that thing. And the more that you are you won't be pulled down in a reactive way. You're out of that. There's no chink in the armor. There's nowhere for something to pull you back in. And you feel safe enough to stay in that space of your wholeness. Everybody's glowing. There's a lot of glowing energy in here. Well, thank you all for coming. This was wonderful, is wonderful. Anybody have a question or anything?
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. It was.
So, if you felt betrayed and there's this person and you know that you're going to be around them at a big event, how do I just not let that old negative energy
Rob you of your joy?
Yeah.
Well, we could just all go kick their asses. We're in. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh yeah, that you on a higher level, in a day in, day out level, you don't become obsessed with it, but you talk to them, you yell at them, you always ask permission, but you can visualize somebody, and you can, anything you can't say to their face so that you don't. You always ask permission for their higher self and your higher self to talk, and you can just tell them off, and you can speak your stuff and get it out. And I go guarantee I've done it with people, and the next time I saw them, lots of it was healed.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't have to. They have a higher self, and you can deal with it in this higher way. You can call them out. You always want to ask for permission. Yeah, I've had some very big enemies and very big things where I didn't feel like I was there, and apparently they thought I was theirs. Yeah, I've had some really weird stuff lately too, and I had to really do that, really go within and not be in denial that I felt hurt and betrayed and lied about or whatever the things were. And you call, you get very quiet, and you visualize, and you ask for the highest good for them, for you, but you want permission for both of you in this higher state to heal, and for a healing and understanding of this pain, and where is the point of origin, where did this start. But it's very honest and okay to be truthful and to go into your pain and to even yell and scream and get it out of your body. And then it will put you into another level. We've all been taught it's wrong somehow not to confront to hurt. It's really wrong to harbor things, because what it does, it causes disease, we can't pretend if something's not right. So when you work with it in this higher way, the healing will come in really interesting ways. Yeah. Yeah, I started doing it about 15, 20 years ago. Spirit showed me some things about it, and it's very powerful. It clears, and it takes care of itself. It just, because we all do have this, even people that have betrayed or persecuted, or the things that we think we can never forgive or heal, they have a higher part of themselves that will respond. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the toughest ones, because you think, whoa, wait a minute. And again, that's what Jesus went through before he was called the Christ. You know, when he was in the human part, everything was personal. Everybody betrayed him except for the female disciples. And it was all the abandonment, betrayal, and you can look at it as an allegory or however you want to see it, but even at the last he says, Father, why have even you forsaken me? And in the moment of that betrayal, feeling betrayed by God, and we've all gone there. I've had bouts where I've really been really angry with God. How I do your work. How is it that people are so mean to me, and there's so much jealousy and crazy stuff that happens? Why? In that moment of feeling safe enough to feel total abandonment, betrayal, taking it personally, the insight comes. Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. Because so much that happens to us, it feels personal, and it is personal, but it's not at the same time, because people are coming from their place of pain and their brokenness. And it's all they can do. And when you see that, but it takes sometimes to be in your pain. That's why it's so important to work through that, because that is the great secret of the Saints and Masters, is when you feel it all personally, and you get that it's not personal. And then it changes. There's not a hook anymore. And it's very real to, it's part of the human experience we have of making the choice of working on these painful things. And then once you really face it, you will let go of it. And what I find with my own self too, I think some of the most, those of us who do love people and are loving people, we're not as good to ourselves as we are to other people. You have to love yourself. You can't love your neighbor any better than you love yourself. You have to have this unconditional love for yourself. And unconditional love does not at all mean being a doormat, ever. We're not taught that though. And there's times that's why I'm sure they left one of the stories of Yeshua, Jesus, when he took the whip into the temple and chased the money changers out. He wasn't mad about money. There wasn't supposed to be blood sacrifice. There wasn't supposed to be an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, or something that's slain to transmute sins. It's not right. And he knew it. And he went in there and he chased those people out. And that there's times that you have, like you're saying, there's times you take action. It doesn't mean that, if you look at the true stories of lots of people who you think of as saints or masters, or they do intense stuff. It's not always like, some little, goody two shoes that's, you do what you do. But you have to stand up for yourself. And it's really, again, how healing for yourself and loving yourself unconditionally. And really, it's what is taught also that's really meant this way. Judge not that you be judged. So when we judge something, and there's a difference between discernment and judging. Discernment is real. When you have a discerning spirit, there are people and things that are bad. They just are. And just because you think in your mind that everything's good, it's not. I mean, there are bad people. There are bad, evil walks on this earth. The fallen angels were cast down here and given dominion for a time. It's not against flesh and blood we battle, powers and principalities. But everything will eventually come back into the light. But I'm telling you, there are people that want to say, this doesn't exist. It's not real. It exists. But you don't have to choose to dance with the devil. And you don't have to choose to engage with darkness. And again, so it's like, for your sake, forgive others. It wasn't like, Jesus and people were saying, you just should forget about your pain. No, because when we don't forget, it eats us up. Because there's some usually part of ourselves that we haven't forgiven about something. And that's the hook. Because remember, it's all a mirror. And everybody around us is part of ourselves. Whether it be an old, ancient part of the group energy, it's an archetype that we're trying to heal. And when you understand it more and more in that way, and you have that wholeness, the powerful thing is about the forgiveness, but not in a way that's not real. Too many people go, I forgive this person. They really didn't. It's not saying you forgive. It's not about that. It's not about empty words, right? It's not about people that go to church and they go, blah, 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 and I believe this, and I did this, and I'm saved now, and then they leave and they don't act like it, right? Or they think that they can just do or say anything and then just, or pretend like they forgive. Pretend like it doesn't work that way. We're all transparent. There's such a transparency now as well. So we're all being forced to just really see everything the way it is.
So do you think the conversations on the higher level?
They're heard, trust me.
Okay.
They're
so,
totally heard.
Because
I have
I'm
had
afraid of transparency. Your own hurt, your own
Right.
anger.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm not a good liar. I'm very transparent.
Right, what you
You know,
wanna do
so
with
doing
people,
that on another level.
it's okay, I mean, it's the only way to heal it.
Yeah.
And but to speak your truth instead of not of. So many people are good at being emotional terrorists. You don't even realize how you've gotten manipulated into being afraid or not being in your true empowerment. And so that's the kind of thing that you address in these higher levels is for people. We all know, we have all been in circumstances like this over and over and over again. You feel like you're walking in eggshells, or you feel like you can't say something, or you can't do something. It's bullshit, really. And when you get to that point where you know what, you could be Mary, the Mother of Jesus. You could be anybody, and certain people, they're going to be how they are. It doesn't matter. It's not about you in that way. It's about they just want control. They just want domination. They just want conformity. And so when you no longer know, when you know you have really nothing to lose, because it doesn't matter what you do with certain narcissistic borderline people, it's how they are. There's a lot of them running around out there. I'm going to tell you right now. And it's not hidden anymore. It's very blatant. It's very apparent who people are. So you, on those higher levels, you do that, and then, but you be yourself. You no longer feel that domination of if I don't do a certain thing, then they won't do something. And that's a very big place. So many people, it's everywhere. People go to work and they don't feel like they can, that whole walking in eggshell thing has to stop. We've all been trained to think that that's okay. And it's not. It's a mechanism we've all developed to get along, or we think we're getting along, right? We're not really getting along. we create disease in our own body. We will. It's familiar. Again, we don't attract people or situations to ourselves because they're bad or good. We attract them because they're familiar. And so all of a sudden that familiarity won't feel so good anymore. And then you're going to go, this really sucks. It's bad familiarity. I'm not doing it anymore. I don't know about anybody else, but I've been extremely to the point where I'm saying stuff out loud and not outside in the outdoor, but where I'm saying, I can't stand this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I hate this. And it's just the truth. I didn't even know I was saying some of it. I heard myself. I'm going, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just heard a door.
Sound like the door. Is that your
Stranger.
doggy?
Well, he's got it.
So we're coming down.
It's very strange. Well,
Yeah, we had some things going on.
Well, you're here now.
Fine.
Hi. Hello.
Oh, well, it's good to see you guys. I know there were several people who were going to be here tonight, and they got blocked in different ways. It's just how, again, these things work. But yeah.
I had big red marks down my face. I don't know what happened when I was trying to get ready to come. It's all down my neck. I had 3 down my face and weird.
Oh, that's interesting.
You look great now.
You look good. Yeah.
I feel better.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
This was really
I enjoyed it.
me too.
And I know what's going on with you guys. And because it's a leftover thing from Serpent Mound stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, big time, trust me. And I had some stuff happen in the last few days that I got the big picture on what it's. But we'll talk about. You don't even have to. If you can come Saturday, I would. But what I'm still trying to do is get all of us that were there and that had all that stuff happen together.
Yeah.
And so what I'm thinking is either
Yeah, so I hadn't had a chance to talk about anything.
right. We will get. I think that's important to get everybody, or most of the people together that were in that experience together, and we'll do it. We'll talk about because it's important to look at that energy and get it moved because I think that's what you were. I think that's what it was because I've had a bunch of stuff happen the last couple of days around all that.
Weird.
Yeah, really weird stuff. Yeah, and again, there's unusual things happening. So this is the thing: is to move through the fear when you have strange things. You want to go okay, but you don't want to let it take over your life and be dominant your life. Right? Oh, dear Katie, I don't know where she's been. She was sitting. She was had her own seat.
She was part of it.
She part of the chair. I didn't see her because usually she'll
Doing her own healing.
She goes, sit down, sit up there. Yes, but yeah, and for most of you, I'm starting to set some schedules up. Are Wednesday nights better than weekend kind of things?
It probably is.
Right, because for some people that can't come on during the week, it's always like always interesting. So, yeah, we'll keep working on things, and we'll keep. I'll let you know when I'm setting a schedule in the next few days, weeks. So I will be sure to let you know. But keep in touch. I really think everybody's going to have very interesting dreams tonight. Very interesting resolutions to things.
That would be most welcome.
Yes, that would be most.
Really good.
Trust me.
It is
most
changed.
welcome. It's
I saw
fun.
you real time. Thank you.
Oh.
Take care.